Grand Rising to the Moors. It is May the 24th, 1440 on the sun calendar and 1441 on the moon calendar. And this is our Sunday sharing. So we did ask again if anyone wanted to know more about nationality, or if you have not declared your nationality and you want more information, or you want to pair up with Moors, then you can star 6 and let us know. Also, if there are any Moors that feel like they don't have anyone in their territories that they can connect with, go ahead and you can star 6, and then we can share some information back and forth so that you can connect with other Moors. Okay? And let's see. So today we want to speak briefly about, and this is actually going to be interactive, so be prepared to star 6 and unmute if you have anything that you want to say about the topics that we're going to talk about today. The first thing we want to discuss as a nation and as a government and as the law, which is what we all are, all Moors are the law and all Moors are part and parcel of their government, is everyone familiar with why we are not 501c3 and why we don't have any of that registration or anything? We're not registered with the Service Corporation. Is everyone clear on why that is?
Islam, I actually was curious to know. So if you can speak on it, that would be great.
Islam.
Thank you. Islam.
Okay.
Chapa Bay, Tennessee Territory, Islam Moors.
Islam, Grand Rising Empress. So, what's been going on with that whole 501c3 thing is this. The 501c3s, for the most part, already know that we all are sovereign and that we're the creditors to all nations on our land. They know that already. Their job has been to not ever tell us. So what they've been doing is they have been taking their roster. Okay, so let's just say you're a member of a church, that's a 501c3. Or you're a member of a temple or a mosque, that's a 501c3. And you put your name on the roll, you become a member, and then what do they do with that information? They take that information, they put your name in all lowercase letters when they report to the IRS to keep their tax, their non-tax status or tax exempt status. They put your name on their roll, and when they report to the IRS, Grand Rising Empress, when they report to the IRS, they put your name in all lowercase letters, and the IRS looks at it and says, oh, okay, we got a bunch of sovereigns here. So we got a bunch of creditors, everyone's a creditor, and we're going to let you keep your 501c tax exempt status, but what we're going to do is we're going to tell you what to say and make sure that you do not tell the people whose names are on your roster that they're the creditors. We're going to ensure that you don't tell them. And that is why when you go to these places, Although they have always known that we're the creditors, they never said a word. They never said a word. They also never told you while you were in that citizen status that all breaks and all of that stuff comes from placing your names in lowercase letters, like we do on our affidavits. That is where all of their benefits come from, is they're telling the IRS, who is subject to the Moors, by the way. We're not under their authority, they're under ours, that we have a bunch of sovereigns here, and so the creditors don't pay anything. Creditors don't pay taxes. Everyone's eating off the creditors. But they're not going to tell you that you're a creditor. Yes, the churches do it too. The mosques do it. The clubs do it. Those clubs that are membership clubs, they do that too. You know, the social clubs, etc., they do that also. Many of them. Not all, but many do. And they're never going to tell you that they're reporting on you that way, because they're the informant. They're reporting on you that way. And creditors have all kinds of perks and things like that. We never, you know, creditors are not ever supposed to, like, everyone owes the creditor. Everyone owes the creditors. Everything that they're doing is about the creditors. So if you want to know if your church or your mosque or wherever you go has known who you really are, just ask to see their tax return. That's why that's a big deal. Because on the tax returns, you will see that they've lowercased everyone's name. And that means that they're telling the IRS that everyone on this list is a sovereign, is a creditor.
Alvin Burden.
Islam, Grand Rising nobility, welcome. That's what they're telling everyone. They're telling those claiming to be the IRS and all of that, they're telling those corporations that, hey, we got some sovereigns here. And we're going to, you know, we need a benefit. We need a break. Because we know we are not in business unless we have some sovereigns on here. None of us can eat unless the sovereigns are, the creditors' names are on here in lowercase letters. But then they're never going to tell you, hey, you know, when we were in citizen status, we were filing taxes, and they never told us, well, you're the creditor. So all you have to do is tell them you're the creditor, and you don't have to do all of that. You don't have to do any of that. None. At all. Just tell them you're the creditor. And tell them competently that you're the creditor. And all of the debt goes away. All of the debt goes away. All of it goes away. And that is what we're working on now as a nation, is ensuring that everyone knows that we know we're the creditors. So we're notifying everyone that we're the creditors. And to do that competently, again, all lowercase letters and sign in red. Everything that you do, everything that you're a Moorish American national, and you're the creditor to all nations on earth, and that gives you access to everything, really, everything. And you just have, we're right now walking through that process of one benefit at a time, saying, okay, we can send them an affidavit and tell them we're the creditor and we can take advantage of this without their contracts. So we terminate all corporate contracts. Just terminate them, get rid of them, because that is how they've been violating people. Okay. Justice Abasi Talib, they put in the chat, nationality is the order of the day. Abasi Talib, they, travel cards, rodeo IDs, yes, conveyance tags, all of that. Get his information so that you all can order whatever it is that you need to order in terms of IDs and things like that, and have it in lowercase letters, so that everyone that you show it to knows that you are the heir, the creditor. Okay? And then, additionally, those who who knew all along to put everything in all lowercase letters also did not tell you that you can opt out of their court system. They didn't tell you that. They should have told you that. And that's really kind of like what the temples were supposed to have. And I'm not saying all temples, but most of the temples don't have their own court. They're supposed to have a consular court. All of them, really, supposed to have their own court, so that we never have to go to those other courts ever. That's what the temple was supposed to do. And so, you know, it's incumbent upon us to get that part cleaned up and cleared up now, which is what we're doing, clearing up that part by having our courts active and making sure that we don't have to go to those courts at all ever. And speaking of courts, this coming Wednesday at 3 on my other, and I'll post it on social media today, this coming Wednesday we have a court action that I'll be doing where we'll be calling all of the quote-unquote governors in all capital letters, those doing business as governors, and Donald Trump in all capital letters, those doing business in that manner. We're calling them all into court, and they've received their notifications already. And so anyone who wants to attend that, and I'm going to go ahead and just mute where I'm hearing just a little bit of feedback coming from a couple of the channels, a couple of the lines. But we'll be doing that this coming Wednesday at 3. And it's going to be on the other line, not this line, the other one. Because they can't agree on anything. They're not doing anything for the citizens, you know, or anything. And so, you know, in order to get them in alignment, we're going to have to call them into court and deal with them specifically. And tell them that, and this is what we're doing. When we call them into court by the all caps, you know, so it will be, let's just pick one of them by name. If the governor is John Doe doing business as governor, the way we would do that is John would be capital J, lowercase O-H-N, and then Doe would be capital D and then lowercase O-E. Doing business as, and then you put governor in all capital letters. And let me tell you why we do it that way. What we're telling John Doe, who's on our land doing business as a governor, what we're telling him is that we don't want you to do business in that war capacity. In all capital letters, that's why when they were putting our names on the Social Security card in all capital letters, that wasn't our name. That was actually a war name. That's what we call it. It's a nom de guerre, which is a war name. Any word in all capital letters is a war word or a war name. And so we call them in and tell them you can't use that status anymore. You can't operate with that anymore. Either you're a subject or you go to jail. And believe it or not, because it's not even about belief, you can see it happening, they have, for the most part, chosen to be subjects. And then they start doing what we tell them to do. So you see them, you see the same people, but they're now doing what's going to benefit the Moors. That's what the court actions do. And I'll give you an example of that. I did a court action in March. I believe it was on March 3rd. And that court action on March 3rd was for Navient, the student loan people, those doing business as Navient. And Navient Corporation was in all capital letters on the command to appear. So for those who are doing court actions, that's who we're calling in, them, all agents, principals, heirs, and assigns, okay? I called them into court and I told, and the one, this is what we tell them in the court action. If you're going to do business in that all caps and you're going to war against the American people, you will go to jail. That's what we're telling them. And then we notify the provost marshal that if they're doing anything that's warring against us, take them to jail. And so far, we're batting about 100 on them changing their behavior and doing exactly what they should do. So now we know that we don't have any debt, and we never have had any debt. But whenever they try and lien our estate, they can only speak to, because they can't speak to the sovereigns, they can only speak to another all caps, okay? And so when they speak to another all caps, they have to tell that all caps what to do with the debt, et cetera, et cetera. And so recently, I think this is dated May 12th, and I'll hold it up here so you all can see, and then I'll read it to you. They sent this to the mailing location, and this is from the Department of Education Corporation, and they're speaking to another corporation. They're not talking to me. But they put in all capital letters, Pauline D. Ritchie-Moore, because they can only talk to their corporation. And what they said is, and here it is right here at the bottom, 0%, they've changed the interest rate to 0% and they've stopped collection activities. It's right
You're
there.
lying.
There it is right there, in writing, right there. Okay. And just a moment, let me get rid of that. And it's right here. Here it is in writing. It's not showing.
No, if you're showing,
can you see?
then I haven't seen it. Or maybe let me see if I find you.
Well, yeah, you got to find me at the
Right, I'm looking.
There it is, right there. There, can you see it now, Justice? That's the all caps name, and down here at the bottom, there it is, 0% interest rate and stopped collections right there. And I have this scanned in, Justice Jermore, so I'll send it to you all, to the judiciary. So now, let me tell you what they said. They said that this was due to the coronavirus disease, that they're stopping collection activities and putting it at 0%, that they're doing it because it says on March 27, 2020, the president, and they put president in all lowercase letters, so we know he's now acting as subject to the Moors like we told them. The president signed the CARES Act, which, among other things, and those other things is what we're concerned about right there, provides broad relief in response to the coronavirus disease 2019, okay, for federal student aid recipients whose loans and or grant overpayments are owned by the U.S. Department of Education. So in this letter, not only did they take responsibility for that debt, because, you know, we don't have any debt, they have taken ownership of the debt. So we now know that we never did own any debt. But now we have them saying it And they're not even talking to us. They're talking to the all cap name. So this is good. It's good to have, I guess. But we never had any debt in the first place. But we needed to just call them in, because that was me saving myself. We needed to call them in and then see what they have to say after that. And of course they're going to blame it on COVID-19. Of course they are. That's what they're doing. And I'll be, if it gets a little loud on some of the lines, I'll have to mute them. And so of course they're going to blame it on that. And look, they can blame it on little green Martians. Okay, that's not our issue, because it's not our debt. Okay, but you're going to start seeing a lot of that. All of you are going to start seeing a lot of that. Someone else in the chat said they received the same thing. That's them owning the debt like we told them to do, and that's them taking responsibility for it. Okay? That's what you're going to start seeing with your demonstration and with that stuff called debt. This is what is known as debt jubilee for the Moors. But we have to do the action. Okay? I hear you, Justice Dearmore. So we have to do the court actions, and then we send them those court actions, and that is how the debt is dealt with. Okay? Now, on this notice, they said that they're doing that it says for private loans, it says for default, the changes to default federal student aid debt, et cetera, et cetera. Is everyone clear on what the word default means? If you know what the word default means, please speak. Yes. Say it again, Justice Dearmore, so they can hear you.
No fault.
That means no fault. So even if they say that their corporation has defaulted on a loan, it's still no fault. And if it's no fault, then who owes it? It's not real debt, is it? It's not. It belongs to the corporation, and they need to own it, and that's what they're doing. Okay? Now, they're saying to their corporation, and again, they can't talk to the Moors, okay? And the reason I'm going to have to mute a few people because it's getting a little bit loud over here. There is the only reason that they are talking to their corporation in that manner is because they can't speak to the sovereign directly. So they're not going to put anything in lowercase letters. That's our job. We're supposed to know we're the creditors. We're supposed to know that. And no one was going to tell us but the ancestors once we started standing. Yes. Someone else, Justice Abby, do you want to read that out, star 6, and read that out so that you can see, so that the Moors can hear from more than just me that this is actually what's really happening, that we actually changed the system into our favor? If you could star 6, Justice Abby, so they can hear you. Hold on for just a second. Let me see if I can find her, because she might be trying to. She might be trying to. I can't see her on here. Let me make sure I can get to where she is. Okay, there it is. And I can't unmute. For some reason, I can't unmute her because it's kind of grayed out. Okay, I'll just read out to you what she put in the chat. Yeah, she said it's not working. It's not working on this end either. But it says, immediately after Trump signed that, I checked my credit report and it showed paid off and closed. I took a screenshot of it. So she has proof, too, that he is acting as subject to the Moors when we tell them what we tell them. And then, Justice Valerie, do you want to star 6 if you can? For some reason, the things are saying muted out, and I can't.
Yes, Islam. This is Justice Valerie Barker Bay. Yes, my bills all show paid also. Everything that I owed shows paid on my credit report.
And it's really kind of like not your credit report, but sort of. It is an agent. It's a credit report of an agent, a subject, and an agent of.
Yes, I also would like to elaborate on an experience I received today. I started flying my flag yesterday on Memorial Day because this is Memorial Day weekend. I started flying my flag. There are some people that live up here. I live in a secluded area. We have a gate that people have to put in a combination to come in. So there were some people that were up here. They flew their flag, which is a United States flag. So I decided to fly my flag to show them that I am a Moor and I believe in truth, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So after I flew my flag, I got an email saying that my dogs are barking, causing excessive barking, and they want me to stop that excessive barking. Okay, on my gate, I have sovereign, indigenous property, no trespassing. I am sovereign. They cannot tell me what to do. So what I did, I sent an email back to them telling them my status, who I am, and once you flew your flag, you told me who you were, a citizen. So you cannot tell me that my dogs are barking, disturbing people. I am the sovereign. I am over you. So I'm waiting for a reply as to what they may say to me after I posted my email to them stating that I am sovereign. And plus, I have it already posted anyway. I've had it posted for 2 weeks.
That is the most funniest shit I've ever heard.
Islam.
But, you know, I know who I am and I know who they are because they told me who they were when they flew their flag. Islam.
Islam. And the thing is, we don't, Islam, thank you, Empress. The thing is, we don't have to even argue with them. All we have to do is state our status. And when we state our status, that's all there is to say, because believe it or not, every interaction is a court interaction, and status determines jurisdiction.
And look where that ended up with Sharon Tracy Gale.
So status determines jurisdiction, and look where it got us. Okay, so we're doing well. We're doing fine, and Empress Sharon is going to be out of there in a short time as well. We send her our love, and she sends hers back. Islam. She's being tested, and many of us have been tested as well, and that's a part of Airship 101 is how you're tested. Not all are tested the same way. Some are tested a different way. And
she definitely isn't going to be out of jail this year.
It depends on how you deal with your testing. So, just a moment. Let me make sure I get everybody out, and I'm going to go ahead and lock this up. And so that is how we deal with them. We don't have to argue with them. We don't even have to really respond. Once we put our sovereign status on the public record, that's it. It's a wrap. And no longer do we have to continue. See, this is not a war anymore. We're in peacetime now. And they want to war. That's what all of this, that interference is all about. And all of that, you know, sending emails and telling people what to do and all of that, that's what that's all about. I'm looking at what Empress Malo is saying in the chat. Empress Malo, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Go ahead and star 6 so that they can hear you. If you can.
Islam? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Islam, everyone. Also, I didn't say before, I'm in Arizona territory. But it's interesting that she said that I got the same, pretty much the same document that you got. And mine was with the PHEAA. I mean, I had been going through that thing with them since 2015. But anyway, I just checked the credit report because they only had it on Experian. I checked that report, and it says 0 accounts.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Islam, everything that we're doing, we're putting in place is working.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that is where all of that interrupting the meetings and all that comes from, is they know where we're going with this.
Yes.
This is the time for the Moors. This is the time for the heirs to get back all that we have lost. And Justice Theodore just put something in the chat as well. Justice Theodore, can you star 6 as well? I got goosebumps now because it's, wow. If you can, star 6, Justice Theodore. If not, I'll just read it out. But go ahead if you can. I'd rather they hear it from you. Oh, he says his mic isn't working. But in the chat, he said he just checked his and all of his accounts, the accounts on that credit report for the nom de guerre are closed. This is what this is. This is what this was all about, is us standing as the creditor and having all of our, of any issues that debtors have is not our issue. That's what this is. Nothing that the creditors, that the debtors, none of their issues. Justice Adriana, do you want to star 6 if you can? I'm seeing hers in the chat.
Islam, this is Erica Eel. I'm in the And I also just checked my nom de guerre credit report, and it shows my student loan deleted as well.
Deleted?
Yes.
Islam. The debt was never ours, y'all. It was never ours. It was never ours. And all we had to do was unify, okay, because that's important, unify and say, we are the government. We are the law. That's what all of this is all about. Now, let me tell you, it gets a whole lot better than that because, again, when we first, yes, Islam.
The light from my darkness will erase darkness. Telling them,
go ahead.
The light from my guidance will erase darkness.
We can't hear you. It sounds a little muffled. Okay. So I think his thing came unmuted. But this is what this is all about. This is why all the interruption, but we have to keep going. This is why all the, you know, whatever is going on, the only thing they have left to do is interrupt because, you know, it's not about throwing people in jail anymore. It's not about that. We're shoring up that piece too. It takes time, but we're doing it line upon line, line upon line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Affidavits here. Learning some more about how government does there. Unifying, continuing to talk to one another. and all of that. That's what this is all about. I'm so glad to hear all the reports about all of this, because those are the things that bothered us the most, because we thought they were talking to us. Come to find out, once we knew they weren't talking to us, then they straightened that stuff out, you see. So it's just, you know, all we have to do is keep doing what we're doing. It's about to get so much better. Wait till you hear all of the things. And man knows not by being told, so I can't really say a whole lot about what's coming. But all it is really, I'll tell you this, all it is really is a reversal of the debtor system where the heirs are concerned. And everything that was going out is going to be coming back in. But we first had to stand and shore up and stop the bleeding by putting it on the public record together. Because we did it together, all at the same time, that is how the debt is gone. That's what makes the debt go, is we are, just one sovereign is enough. Not to mention 10,000 or 100,000 or 1.2 million sovereigns saying we don't have any debt. And the debt belongs to the corporations and not to us. And then putting those liens out there and doing some court actions. That's all it took. And terminate those corporate contracts. We never need to be under any corporate contracts. Never. We never need to be under corporate contracts at all, ever. That's why we're hearing all the, you know, to prove that this works. And no, we're done with that. We don't have to argue that. All you got to do is see what's going on with the heirs. What's going on with the heirs? The debt that the corporations were attempting to put onto the heirs is gone.
Yo!
That's what that's all about, okay? And so from this point forward, what's the main thing is going to be continue to demonstrate your nationality at all times. Continue to demonstrate your nationality at all times. And continue to do your court actions so that those subjects can continue to get in alignment. Okay? And then let me tell you what's really going to be important over the next 30 to 60 to 90 days. Yes. What's going to be important over the next 30 to 60 to 90 days is going to be ensuring that now that they know that the creditors have spoken and that the debt is going away, it is debt jubilee, that we put in place for each one of us the affidavits for both unum sanctum and for the postmaster general, the universal sovereign postmaster general, which is what all Moors are. Let me tell you why that's going to be important. That's going to be important because it's going to assist even further in returning those things that were taken by those who were under both the Pope and the and that British Philip and Elizabeth Corporation over there in the UK. Okay, it's going to be important to start having all of those resources coming right back to the heirs. That's what's about to happen, is the resources. The system has been switched so that everything comes back to the creditors, the right, real creditors, but they have to know who you are. So continuously putting in all lowercase letters, documents on the record, on government letterhead. That is how this is happening. Make no mistake about it, it has nothing to do with the stuff that they're putting out there. We're grateful. We don't care how they do it. Just do it. Just get it done. Just get it done. And Justice Abby, hold for just a moment. Justice Abby put in the chat that she posted her proof in the comment section on my Facebook post about the conference today. Islam, yes, Islam. Thank you. And I'll listen. I'm not the only one saying this, so it's not just me. As you can see here, there are many more that this has happened for, and many of us haven't even bothered to check a credit report on a nom de guerre. I haven't bothered to check it because it didn't matter to me. All I knew was I know I don't have any debt, and I'm going to prove it. You know, that was my thinking. You know, so again, unum sanctum for the Moors, so that everyone knows that everyone is under the Roman Pontiff. The Roman Pontiff is all of us. We were not the Holy Roman Empire, because that's the fake one. We are Rome, we're Greece, we're the Phoenicians, we're the Babylonians, we're all of that. We're all of that, okay? And so that is
Islam.
Is where we are at this point. Go ahead, Justice Jeremiah.
Just wanted to add one thing to that. We are, in fact, the first Holy Roman Empire, not the one that usurped and took over. When we were, this is the before these times, we were and are the Holy Roman Empire, and which is holy because it's set aside. And that's what we always have been, and we cannot unbe something that we are. We're always being, just forgetting many times. Islam.
Yes. Islam. 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 Additionally, the reason why the Universal Postmaster General piece is so important also is for the following. Okay, did you know that U.S. citizen is a military position? Hopefully you all were aware of that. That it's a military position. That's why they keep showing up here and saying the things they're saying, because it's a military position. Okay? And how do we know it's a military position to be a U.S. citizen? First of all, they're foreign. So 1938 Foreign Agent Registration Act tells you that they're foreign to the American people and that they must register as foreign. Number two, how do you know that it's a military position? You know that U.S. citizen is a military position because they always issue their documents in all uppercase letters, in war names. Even when you were first born and there was a harbor master at the end of the table waiting for you to come out so that he could hypothecate and issue an all-caps document that that puts you in the military. Okay, so when they issue a Social Security number and a Social Security card with those dashes in it, that is, and in all capital letters, that's a war name. So they're saying this little baby is at war. We just put them into the military. Civilian, yes, Justice Jeremiah, civilian is a military designation. And if you look at the word civilian, it starts with the word civil, like civil rights. That's why we don't do civil rights. Civil rights are for military people, U.S. citizens. Yes, it is a contract. And so U.S. citizens, all documents are issued by the United States Corporation Company in all capital letters as a war situation. Okay? And so all citizens are listed as enemy combatants. All U.S. citizens are listed as enemy combatants. All of them. Why? Because when we're trying to focus on nation building, there are things happening where, you know, it's being, there's combativeness on that side, not on this side, because we don't war with the subjects. We don't war with them. We're not at war with them. We just kick them out of the meeting and keep going. And above all else, we keep going.
I want to say
as long as we keep going, we're okay. That's it. That's all we have to do is just keep going. And so they spend a lot of time. Just a moment. They spend a lot of time, you know, being combative. I'm going to go ahead and lock the meeting. Yes, and then Justice Yearmore says in the chat, all U.S. citizens are designated as enemies of the state since 1933. Absolutely, they are. Now, here's another position, and this is important, that is a military position. And for some, it's not going to be pretty to hear this, but it's the truth. Did you know that pastors and deacons and preachers is military position too?
Wow.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh, my stars.
Yes, yes. Yes, it's a military position. Let's prove that. Most of them already have a banner of amity and commerce on their stage with yellow fringes. Look at John Hagee, for example. If you sign on to YouTube and go look at that stuff, he keeps a banner of amity and commerce on the stage with yellow fringes, but that was when he had members coming. They can't come to church anymore. Okay? But when they were able to congregate, and yes, that is why they sing the song that says, "Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war."
Islam.
That's the song that they sing. Islam. Go ahead, Justice Yearmore.
A little bit of information. 2 days ago, when the chief of their, whatever the heck they call him now, I don't really care. When the chief executive was speaking, he said that he is going to make them reopen the churches because the people have to get back to their churches. And what had me laughing about that is I said, you know, they're getting back just in time with the information to break the doors down from inside. Because we don't have to do it, it's the ones they've been holding prisoners are going to do it.
Yeah.
And that is, this is when you're going to start seeing pastors running down the street, and you're wondering, are they training for something? Yeah, they're training to get away from the road.
Yes.
Islam. And we don't have to be hateful about it, but these are the days we're dealing with coming now.
Yes, and they knew that that time would come. We don't have to even be involved in any of that. All we have to do is stay focused on nation building and hush all that noise out there. Hush the noise and just focus on nation building. That's it. Did you know that Pope is a military position?
Yes.
Yes, it is. And that is why when he wrote the letter to Obama in 2014, 2015, he talked about the military because he knows he's the head of the military or was the head of the corporate military. And so the Pope is not who you think he is if you think that he's teaching everyone that Jesus loves them and to be good Catholics and et cetera, et cetera. He is actually the commander of the U.S. corporation military. That's who he is.
Islam.
And Islam.
That's why Noble Drew Ali said there were two peoples, Moors and Christians.
Yes.
Moors and Christians.
Yes.
That's worth thinking about.
Yes, and the Pope did, in fact, he did finance all of the inventory where military equipment and all of that, he financed all of that. He financed every bit of it on both sides of whatever war was going on. And so what does that mean? That means that all churches that are under the Pope, and I don't care what the denomination is, and I don't care what they're claiming, if they're registered with the U.S. Service Corporation, it's a war machine. And I was just talking to one of the Moors the other day who said that every time he went to a temple, they gave him bad information. I said, I know it. And it's, again, it's not all temples, but the ones that are 501c3s are warring against the Moors too. And we're not, again, we're peaceful people. We're going to stay peaceful, you know. Peaceful is what we do. We don't have to war with anybody. All we have to do, again, is send these documents. Because they did everything that they did by their proclamation, and then no one rebutted it. That's the only reason that they're able to get away with anything, is we were not rebutting anything they said. We just let them say it and didn't say nothing in return. Well, that has all changed. The Moors are speaking, the heirs are speaking loud and clear. All papal bulls are war documents. And if you look at any of the stuff that has come from there, it's talking about war in one way or another, or it's talking about shipping vessels in one way or another, you know. And so that is how the war continues without a shot being fired, supposedly. Oops, sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. And so that is why, just one moment. That is why all of these war, you know, the heirs have not been in the rightful place, and we've been begging here and there for everything and getting arrested and all of that. All of that stops when we are in honor and we declare and proclaim who we are. Okay? Now, another military position is Postmaster General, who was over all banking and shipping and travel and all of that, and postal stuff. And so that's why he is called the Postmaster General. He's over the military also. And when you all put your sovereign universal postmaster general affidavits on the public record, you then become the head of the military, and the military becomes an agent or a subject to the Moors. We've done that. We need as many of you as possible to do the same, so that when you do your court actions and you tell the American Provost Marshal to go do his thing, he goes and does it. It's that simple. That simple. Unum sanctum and Provost and the Postmaster General, universal, both universal sovereign documents. And that is going to shore up Islam.
Where can we get those documents?
You're going to craft them. Unum sanctum, I would like, it is suggested, because you can't tell sovereign what to do. I did put under the video for Unum Sanctum on YouTube, it's at Light Tajiri Bay. I did put, I posted a link to the first Unum Sanctum that I did. And it's written in ancient English, so don't mind the spelling because the spelling is actually correct on the document. There's a link to it. Go to Light Tajiri Bay on YouTube and look under the Unum Sanctum video. And there'll be a link to the document so that you can type it out for yourself on government letterhead. And again, all Moors can use Moorish National Republic Federal Government letterhead. We encourage you to do that because they know that letterhead when they see it.
I have used it.
Yes, Islam. And so type that up for yourself, and it's preferable to use ancient English, which means that the words are not spelled like we were taught in the animal education centers. So any other way other than spelling things like they spelled it is going to be correct. The Phoenicians have the final say on what is acceptable in terms of spelling and what is not. We know that their spelling is incompetent because it does not say what the sovereigns mean for it to say. It's not precise enough. That's why when we go into those venues and use that language, they pretty much just, it seems like they don't even hear what the Moors are saying. Well, they don't have to do, first of all, we have no business in their venues because their venues are not lawful. Second of all, using their corporate language, you think that you're saying one thing and they're hearing something totally different with corporate English. And so we use ancient English, which sounds just like corporate English, except it's spelled differently and it's defined by the heirs. So whatever your intention is when you spell that word differently is exactly what that word means. And that's going to be really powerful coming up over the next few days, weeks, and months, and et cetera. Because jurisdiction is contained within the language. Jurisdiction is contained within the language. If they see a document in all capital letters and it looks like corporate language, they're just going to assume it was written by a citizen and run through it. Run through the stop sign. But if it's written in all lowercase letters and signed in red with the right red thumbprint by the creditor to all the nations of the earth, okay, and it's written in ancient English, they cannot argue with you about what you mean. There's no argument because that's not even their language. And they haven't been speaking our language at all, ever. They dumbed down ancient English into animal terms. And then they made you think that that was the right way to spell. But no, when you use their language, you're casting their spell and not your own. And that's why changing our language to that which is ancient is so successful and is working so well. I'm blown away and just super excited for us as a nation. Because guess what? Now that we're in the right jurisdiction and we're stepping up and doing our own spells, casting our own spells, and we see that it's working, that means that they're not going to be able to put their hands on us anymore. They can't. Because it's proven that we are the heirs. It's already proven. And all we have to do is keep proving it. And then we don't have to say anything to them at all. They should be checking the public record. Public means servant. There's so much more to come for us as a nation that it's huge. And now we also have to, because we have not forgotten them at all, now that we have saved ourselves like the prophet told us to do, and we continue to save ourselves and assist one another with that, now we can go and get our brothers and sisters that are locked up. Okay? We can go and get our brothers and sisters that are incarcerated. We have to get them out of there. They are prisoners of war, but they have a job to do. Going and getting them is not really, they actually have to stand. Because it's actually by their sovereign word that they're set free. It's not really by us fishing them out. It's by them saying, yes, I'm a sovereign Moorish American. And I'm not at war with you all. You all are subject to us. Period. And there were some overarching things that needed to be done, like the gold standard, and like changing that system around, and like the most important one was always to get our courts up and running. And now we have court actions going on all day, every day, in some territory or another. Okay? And that was actually the main thing that needed to happen in order for the estate to be returned to the heirs. And it was never taken from us. We just needed to stand up and put our hands on it. And so that's why the court actions are so important. And that's why you're seeing the successes that you're seeing with regard to the debt and with regard to you. It's not for you, and you're out of here. Actually, it's not for you. It's for the heirs. And so we don't ever have to worry about them putting their hands on us. And now that we've saved ourselves, like the prophet said, he said, I gave you everything it takes to save a nation. Take it and save yourself. And once we save ourselves, we can tell people all the things that we've done to save ourselves. And then we can assist them in saving themselves. But those who are demonstrating already know that when the rubber meets the road, we have to actually do the work for ourselves. No other sovereign can actually get you out of whatever you're in or whatever you think you're in. You actually have to get yourself out because you're sovereign. The ultimate demonstration is up to each Moor to get yourself out, because sovereigns rule and reign. And a sovereign cannot have any crutches where they lean on the justices here, where they lean on someone else. No, we all are arm in arm assisting one another. But when it comes to Light and her demonstrations, or Justice Gerald Moore and his demonstrations, or any of the judiciary, any of the Moors, even those who are incarcerated, they must know who they are have the clear, clean energy, because we can't demonstrate properly with anger and you know, being upset and mad at them, at the subjects and all of that. The only reason the subjects did what they did was because we got out of line where the law is concerned. Okay? So now that we have done the overarching things that needed to be done, okay, there was some major things that you know, could have been done 100 years ago, really. But we are grateful that the ancestors chose this time for those things to get done. And those things have everything to do with the demonstrations that you're doing. They're competent, so debt cannot stay where a competent creditor is. Debt can't stay there. War cannot stay where there is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And right now, look at the convergence of things that are happening. Okay. Justice is all of us doing court action. Okay. And yes, Justice Giramore said there in the chat, no one can take credit for our success. No one should ever be blamed for our failure. That's because it's up to each sovereign to stand tall and firm in their sovereign status and do the demonstration. For some of us, it may seem a little uncomfortable to come outside of your comfort zone and do a court action and put it on the public record.
Islam.
That
little couple lines I wrote in there is in fact what one reads in Revelation when the book says, when I've opened the door and no one can close it, and I close the door and no one can open it. Because only the eye can open or close. That's the reason why we cannot blame anyone if we don't get the success we're looking for, or give anyone the credit when we do get it. It simply means we are thinking right, which means when we're thinking right, we're acting right and being.
Yes.
Islam.
Yes, Islam. And no one can, believe it or not, no one can even go and get somebody out of jail, so to speak. The person, the Moor, has to actually say who they are and stand under their own line of victory and not waver on trying to, you know, we cannot even attempt to go back to a citizen status based on what they say, because they're going to lie. They've been lying. I talk to Moors who are locked up frequently, regularly, actually, and those people always say that, you know, we're going to let you out if you do this and this and this and this. And for the Moors who do what they tell you, all they're doing is pushing you towards a contract so that they can keep you longer. And not a single time do they ever let the Moor out with that. If the Moor is doing what they say, they're not going to let them out. They're not. They lie and lie and lie. That's part of the Jesuit oath. I posted a video on social media on Facebook at Light to Jury Bay this morning, I believe it was, where someone is reading the Jesuit oath. And they take an oath to just lie and poison and kill and all of that. And believe it or not, that Jesuit oath is on file in the Library of Congress. And that's why when you go to a 501c3 and they lie to you and they don't tell you who you really are, you can't really be surprised. Because that's an oath too. They are registered with the oath takers. Period. So we have gained much ground, much ground. I'm just so grateful to hear all of the testaments about that whole debtor piece going away. It has to go away. Why? Because the citizens who have debt are about to be, they're about to, you know, meet, they're going to be in a place they don't really want to be in. So it's important that the heirs make it known who they are. The citizens are about to be in a place that they don't want to be in where debt is concerned. And listen, this whole thing about letting everybody go home for months at a time and not collect a paycheck, that's going to speed up what happens with this whole debt thing. All the debt is going to become due at the end of them having people sit at home. They're speeding up the removal of the citizens off of the estate. Because again, U.S. citizen is a war that's a war status. It's a war status. And so at some point, we're going to have to come out of that status. Anyone who's in that status must come out. And this whole thing about the debt jubilee and the debt going away, et cetera, that is what they did not really want us to get to. They didn't want us to get to that part right there. That's an important part. It's very important. Because once we get to that part, they know that, you know, it's pretty much a wrap on anyone who cannot get rid of the debt. Now, with the citizens, and this is something that, you know, they probably need to know, and we're telling them. That's why this stuff goes on the public record in whatever form it goes in. And we're not going to allow them to stop us. Is our land is not going to be a land full of war. And anybody who's warring, they have to go anyway. So the citizens have to get in their proper status as subjects. And some say, well, I've heard some more say, well, I don't want to rule over anybody. You don't have to, you're sovereign, you can do whatever you want to do. But at the beginning and end of the day, they've always been public servants. They know that. That's the only way they were able to be here is to be a public servant. Okay? That was their, you know, their contract says that. Okay? And so, Justice Abby, in the chat, I hear what you're saying there. Yes, it is debt cancellation season. How about the debt pledge? You have a few of them. You better get that court action going. Get the court action going, Empress. Call whoever it is that is attempting to lien the heirs, call them to court and tell them if they're going to act in that corporate status, in that war status, that the provost marshal will be picking them up. And watch them turn around and do the right thing. They're all doing the right thing. They're starting to do the right thing, but Moors have to do, you have to save yourself. No one is going to do your court actions for you. You must do them. You must do your own court action. We're doing overarching court actions, but for example, Empress Michelle, she has already done a court action on the one doing business as governor of Virginia. So she already put that, she wrapped that one up. That's going to be an easy one right there because it's already done. I'm going to call his name again just so that he won't feel left out. But the court actions, that's the way to go. It's the way to go. We are the law. We are the government. That's our job. That is our responsibility. That's how you govern. That's why everyone in quote-unquote fake Congress is an attorney or a judge sent by the Postmaster General or the corporate Postmaster General over there, Philip and Elizabeth Corporation, sent by those two. That's what that's all about. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and mute because there's just a little bit of feedback coming from that one particular area. But yes, so are there any questions about what those military positions are? Now, again, anyone claiming to be a U.S. citizen is in the military. They're not going to tell you that, but if they have a contract, like a Social Security contract, where they have a card with all capital letters and they've not terminated that contract, because I have one that has all capital letters, but the contract is terminated. So it can only be used as a subject to the heirs. Like what they did with this, because they can only talk to other corporations. So they can speak to their corporation, but it has to be subject status for them. So anyone who has, again, and we say this all the time because it's important, anyone who has things like VA benefits or Social Security benefits, disability benefits, etc., terminate the corporate contract and then tell them you're using it as the creditor. And you can just put that on the public record. They're supposed to be checking the public record anyway. Okay? And that way it's a benefit to you as the heir and as the creditor. And you cannot be, they can't be trying to use it to tax and to take. Okay? So are there any questions about those military positions? And we're actually, when we put unum sanctum on the record and we put our Postmaster General status, we're doing it from a place of peace. War is not a part of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. War is not a part of that. So we are actually the balancer of that whole status. We're the balancer. Okay? We balance all of that out. They've been warring and warring and warring, and now it's a peace situation because the heirs have spoken. And they've been using the debtor side this whole time. We're using the creditor side to balance that out. And it's not only balancing it, but it's making it all the way right. All the way right, the things that we're doing as a nation. And therefore, you see the results that were being talked about earlier by many of you. So, are there any questions? You can start to ask your questions. Yes, go ahead, Justice.
Oh, I don't know if you can hear me. This is Jay Michael, Chicago.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Honors to you. I was listening to you earlier in the call, and you were saying in the next 60 to 90 days or so, the unum sanctum document should be on the record, as well as the universal postmaster general.
Those are suggestions. Yes, those are suggestions. I would suggest that the heirs study that position of Postmaster General, study it so that you know what they really do. Because they have not been telling you the truth about what they really do and what their real responsibilities are. They've not been telling you the truth about that. So study, and when you seek the information, it'll come up. You'll find it. And then go back throughout history to see who was the Postmaster General, who was the first one. For you know, even for the corporation, just look back through and do a little research and a little study on the Postmaster General so that you can see what is really happening. We are taking those positions, but we're the peace military, okay? And it's not military even. We don't even need a military. Not really. We're using the Provost Marshal now, and he's doing an excellent job because everybody's jumping into subject status and doing what they're supposed to do, leaving the Moors alone, wiping the debt, etc. We just have to keep doing that for the ones so that we can assist our brothers and sisters. So Postmaster General, you want to put a universal sovereign Postmaster General, universal sovereign original indigenous Postmaster General affidavit on the public record, just stating that that's who you are. And if you want to list your whatever research you found about that and say these are our authorities, and we have given our own selves. We have sovereign authority over the following. We have sovereign authority over the following. And then you can list shipping, postal, and banking.
Okay, any particular place where we should look for this information? There's so much disinformation out there.
I would suggest that you start at Google. Just start there. But then also go to postal sites and then go back into the history sites. Go to the history sites anywhere that you think to look. Anywhere that you think to look, go ahead and look. The Yale Law website, Avalon Yale Law website, where you can see the treaty and all of that other stuff. You can go there and look up any documents. Just search Postmaster General in the search, and it's going to bring up any documents that have to do with that. So start there. And then your research will lead you to other places.
And the last question is, is this supposed to be in conjunction with the other items that you told us to send in, like, you know, the NOLO treaty and all of that?
Those are suggestions. Your study will tell you what will be right for you. Your study will tell you. So that's not a checklist that every sovereign must do. That's not what we do. We just make suggestions, and your study will tell you which one of those you should do, what's right for you, and how to do your demonstration. Okay?
Islam, I hear.
Islam. Because you can't tell sovereigns what to do anyway. Because the ancestors might lead you in a different way, or your higher self might lead you in a different direction, based on what you love, based on what you're doing, based on your own demonstrations, okay? Your own sovereign demonstrations will, if you seek the information, you'll find it, period. I mean, that's, you know, man knows not by being told. I could tell you what to do all day, but it won't work if you don't do your own study, do your own demonstration, and clear that energy and keep that powerful energy going and stay peaceful. That is how this works. That's how it works. Is we provide, you know, and then the ones that are doing it are seeing the results, like what they talked about earlier, where these corporations are getting in alignment like they should. All it took was for us to stand up and speak by affidavit. And the corporations didn't have a choice because that's our estate. They are subjects here, not at war. This is about peace and status. So are there any, hopefully that answered your question with regard to both Postmaster General and Unum Sanctum. And with Unum Sanctum, it is also it's when you read it, you'll know. You have to actually read Unum Sanctum and study it to know what you're saying. And I could talk about it. Unum sanctum basically just tells you that everybody is under the Moors. Yes, it is. It's, I see there in the chat, Justice J. Michael says it's a do-it-yourself universe. Yes, it is. We can make suggestions, and that's why we're here, is to assist with the suggestions on what we can do together as a nation so that we can do what we're seeing done now, like get rid of all of that debt. It was never our debt in the first place, so we just needed to say that competently, and then assist one another as we move forward and continue to possess the estate. Because that's really what this is all about. It's continuing to possess the estate and getting back all that was taken from us during this learning process. We've lost some things in the process, okay? And we need to get those things back. And it's not necessarily maybe what we lost that we'll get back. It'll be brand new, better stuff. And it's not even about the stuff as much as it is about knowing that you are a sovereign and this is your land. It's not even about the stuff at all because you already own everything. But the rebuttal was key. I see in the chat, yes, Justice J. Michael, the rebuttal is the key. Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey has always said to us, you have to rebut everything they say. We had not up to now rebutted unum sanctum. We had to first know about it. So Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey taught us about unum sanctum. And it was up to us, because he never actually read unum sanctum out that I know of. But he knows that you can't just tell the heirs. The heirs actually have to go digging for the information. It's the activity that causes the success. It's the activity, okay, that's causing everything to happen. And the more active you are and the more you study, etc., the more success we're going to continue seeing. I mean, you know, for some of us, debt is just, you know, that has been the thing that seemed to belabor us before we knew. Yes, this will be posted on YouTube. That we did not know was never ours. Now we know. And as we move forward, we're going to be doing other demonstrations and putting them out and sharing them so that we can continue. But I'll tell you, the court actions are the most powerful. The court actions, and then when you pair a court action, which is the highest sovereign court on the land, okay, when you put that with an unum sanctum statement and a postmaster general statement, an affidavit, okay, and Justice Michelle says Grand Sheikh has a 3-part unum sanctum series. Yes. Get that. Go out there on YouTube and look at Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey's 3-part unum sanctum series. Please go look at it. And then also study unum sanctum. Go look it up and read it and study it. And then, in all lowercase letters, rewrite it. And we have copies of it out there of how we rewrote it. And really what we're doing is, unum sanctum that you see out there is a hypothecation of the original one that we put out. So don't let anybody tell you that, oh, you all are copying, you know, the Pope, blah, blah, blah. No, he copied us, okay? The corporations have always copied us. They've never originated anything.
Islam?
Islam.
Grand Sheikh Taj always talked about that for years and years. But this point that's interesting is that until Noble Drew passed, none of this stuff was happening. However, they were agitating for it and using all the tools they had to get, once he passed and the adepts sold out, most of the adepts sold out, then the Vatican City was actually open for business.
Yes.
And they immediately started to go into the decimating the 90%, which they have.
Yes.
They had been doing some of that. Noble Drew Ali came to stop it, and he decided, okay, y'all don't want to stop. I'm going to go to the other side, but believe this or know it. Noble Drew Ali is working with you right now. And if you pay attention, you got all of that force in your mind and hands.
Islam. We receive that and all of the authority and the energy of our ancestors, and Noble Drew Ali is one of our ancestors as well. Islam. And we are the ancestors returned. So, I believe that is it. Are there any other questions before we, and then we'll take a continuation until next week. I'm just so happy for everyone who's had debt removed. I'm so happy for you.
Islam. Gregory Tariq Bay, North Carolina Territories. When you terminate the corporate contracts, do you put your account numbers on the public record as well?
I did, because they've been selling those numbers to everybody. Those numbers, they put them on the stock market, so they're not a secret. I did, but you don't have to do that. I only did it because I know that it's going to make it easier for them to go through and be like, okay, that's an heir, she's a creditor. This stuff should not be out there. And that's why I did it that way. But you don't have to do it that way. You can do it your way because you're sovereign.
Okay, and I don't have to send it to Donald Trump and all them in Washington and all that, right?
You don't have to. You're sovereign. You can just post it on the public record. You can put it on Moorish American Consulate public records page on Facebook. That's free. You don't have to. And we encourage everyone to go there so you don't have to pay any fiat to put stuff on the public record. Trust and know that they all check that. That public record, everyone checks it because they see that the heirs are awake.
Islam.
We when we do videos and stuff in some of the chat and stuff down there, they are always saying, I'm gonna report this to and they say names of alphabet corporations, and I'm just thinking to myself, they already know. So you won't be telling them anything new. So they all watch, and as long as we are in honor, they can't really stop anything that we're doing.
Islam.
Just like
yes.
The phone number that is listed, I think it's in Florida. Is that the correct person to contact to declare your nationality?
It should be. The one that's on the website. If it's a number on the website, it should be correct because those are updated pretty frequently.
Okay, what's the website again? I'm sorry, I may have missed it.
moorisheamericanconsulate.org.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Islam. And there was a Noble who was going to ask a question. Go ahead, Noble.
Yeah, this is me almost out here in Kimwood territory. I just got a question about, I've been getting my return receipts back, but I'm not getting them back from the companies that I lead, and their court dates is, coming up pretty fast. Do I still proceed with the proceedings?
Absolutely, yes, you do.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes, you do, because guess what? The minute you give them put them in that postal box or hand them to a postal clerk, that person or that box is an agent of the principal. Believe it or not, they're all one. They're all the same. Some people think that the policy enforcers are different from the light bill company, but they're not. They're the same. Some people think that that they're different. The post office, once we put something in there, it is considered already given to whoever it is we're sending it to if we're sending it to a corporation. It's considered already received. So absolutely, you don't have to wait for those green slips to come back and all of that. You don't have to wait for you. And when you check, if you check and it's saying, oh, in transit or whatever, and it's getting close to the court date, you still do the court action. Because sometimes those people do not update the system. Yes, it's already deposited. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And then with some of our documents, they log in the green, you know, the green card, not the green and white slip, but the green card. Instead of logging in the return receipt, that green and white number, tracking number, instead of logging that one in, they will log in there's a tracking number on the green slip, on that green slip where they sign it. And for those who can see, I'll just grab a copy of one. Yeah, okay. For those who can see, these green cards right here that you see here?
Yes.
Okay. There's a tracking number right here on that green certified return thing. Sometimes if you pull this number up, it will tell you where the packages are. But you won't know that if you're looking for the tracking number on the green and white.
Right.
You know. And so it just depends on who's logging it in and why they're logging it in. Okay.
I just inquired because it's.
Huh?
No, I just inquired because I'm getting them back from the mayor, the recorder of deeds, and the tax revenue, but the actual companies that I'm leaning, you know, they haven't been. I've yet to receive those, so I was just.
Oh yeah, go ahead, move right on forward with your court actions. I always do. In fact, once I give it to the post office, I don't even check anymore, really, usually. And then every now and then I'll think, oh, maybe let me just check. And I'll check, and then I just print off the delivery receipt.
Islam.
Islam? Can everyone hear me?
I'm still here.
Unmuted.
We can hear you, Malik.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Islam, everyone. Grand Rising to the Moors. This is Sheikh Malika speaking, and I just wanted to speak to everybody about the what's going on in cosmos as we are traveling through the stars, through the Milky Way. And
I'm sorry. Hold on for just a moment. I'm sorry. I got booted out. So you can see you're not the only ones who get booted out. Okay. So we'll hold off on the reading this time around. What were you saying really quickly about? Just take about 60 seconds and do a reading real quick. What were you saying? I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay. That's fine. Which one would you rather? Which one would you like to hear? Would you like to hear about the Milky Way or about the eclipses?
The eclipses.
The eclipses? All right.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so we have 3 eclipses between June 5th and July 5th. June 5th, we have an eclipse in Sagittarius, which is 15 degrees, and this is also a lunar eclipse, right? This is also known as the groundhog looking for its shadow. Okay, so this is basically an emotional roller coaster Could be really good or the opposite, depending on where you are on an evolution scale or evolutional scale, right? And this is globally, by the way. This is a great time to reflect on things, that we would like to improve. This is relative to higher energy, higher awareness, higher consciousness, higher philosophy, travel, and cultures. And this actually deals with the types of housing built by our ancestors, resurfacing, This is going back to older ideas, cultures, whether it's medication, knowledge, erudition, and that will be on once again, a worldly view. Now, with that being said, this will bring closure on the old way of doing things based on the last 50 years or so. That is pretty much no longer working. And anything that Sagittarius or Gemini rules, because we are also, the sun's in Gemini currently. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of planets. You have Gemini, you have the moon, you have Mercury, and you have Venus in Gemini right now, currently. So anything that Sagittarius and Gemini rules is basically what this is influencing. And this would actually come to a completion stage, and the people will look for a new way of doing things. Things are going to really shift because the eclipse is happening at the midpoint of 15 degrees. And for those of you who don't know, each sign goes from 0 degrees to 29 degrees, right? And this is happening at 15 degrees, right at the midpoint. So people will see a lot of, false information flying across, so they have to be aware of that. The eclipse magnifies everything, as I mentioned. There will be tension, and once again, we're talking worldly. So there will be tension. People will want freedom versus public safety. This will bring pretty much, the craziness, the craziness out of people, or the spiritual awareness out of people, right? All depends on where they are on their spiritual evolution. Once again, on June 17th, Mercury is going retrograde. All right. Now, this is for June 21st eclipse in Cancer, 0 degrees. Now, this is a solar eclipse. So June 5th is a lunar eclipse. This is a solar eclipse. Now, with the eclipse being in 0 degrees Cancer, this means new beginnings. Why? Because anything that starts off in 0, right, is always a new start. Okay, so this is the ending of business structures, ending of any old structures, the ways, people have been governed, laws, new models coming out based on service, self-care, nurturing others, performing arts. The people are going back to the past, just to lighten the load, to move forward in the future, right? Once again, this is globally, right? So, there will be a sudden event that is irreversible, and it's something to do with a huge light. Like I'm talking about just an array of light, and some may look at it as a gift, right? There's going to be a lot of karmic and soul missions starting here. Okay, once we, if you guys were on a call on Thursday, you guys will kind of be able to connect what I talked about on Thursday and this call as far as the Milky Way and what's about to happen during the solar eclipse in Cancer, right? And, once again, eclipse, they actually last about 6 months. So you will be seeing this throughout the next 6 months, all these events. And then for July 5th eclipse, I will get back to everyone on July 5th eclipse. As I search for more information to speak on it, and then I will get back to the June 21st eclipse as well.
Islam. Thank you so much.
Islam.
I appreciate it. Okay,
Islam.
that's good. We need that information because Moors on days where there's going to be eclipses and things like that, or major events in the stars or with the solar or the lunar, etc., those are generally the best days to send out affidavits or to place affidavits on the public record so that you can flow with the energies of the cosmos. And that when you send them out, they go out with that much more force and energy behind them. So usually on those days, I generally do either a court action or I'll put something on the public record. And then on those days where they claim that they're quote-unquote holidays, etc., I always have something done on those days. Put something on the public record or send out court actions, notices to appear in court, etc. And again, those days are going to be June 5th, June 21st, and July 5th. So either you can send things out and have your court actions on that day, or you can mail things out on those days, and it will do what you send it out to do. That is the catalyst behind doing it on those days. Now, whether those things, it happens for you that way or not is up to you and your energies and what you send out, et cetera, and the competence level of it. Again, our competence is way up as a nation, and that is why we're seeing the results that we're seeing. We thought that was years and years away, but it really wasn't years and years away. We're here already, where debt is being removed, and it was presumed debt in the first place because we don't have any debt. We never have had any, but it's nice to see, that our commands are being honored, okay, where all of that is concerned, So I think that is about it for this call. It will be posted on YouTube. I want to ask before we continue on next week, is there anyone here who wants more information about, just one moment, let me make sure, wants any more information about nationality or how to nationalize? You can star 6 if you need that information. That information right there, specifically.
Islam. Ezekiel Bay, the Los Angeles territory. I need the 7 places to send my information to.
Okay. If you go on to www.moorisheamericanconsulate.org and click on nationality, there's going to be a document there called New Moors Binder, a binder for New Moors.
I downloaded
I think it's new.
It only has 5.
Yeah, it's in there. The 7 locations are actually within the first few pages.
I downloaded that document, the whole thing. I have the whole thing, and I only had 5.
It should be 7 of them in there. I'm hoping. Which 5 did it have? Because it should have all 7. It's always had all 7 in there. But if you can tell me which 5, I can tell you the other 2.
Okay. I had the Donald J, the governor, the head of the one in New York,
the State Department,
and the and the Bishop of Los Angeles.
Right. Okay. So you want to add the Attorney General and the Secretary of State to those two? The ones doing business as Attorney General and doing business as Secretary of State. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Islam.
Yeah. And I apologize that it's not 7 in there. Usually it has been 7. I don't know if, sometimes things drop off and come back on the, we want to be sure that everyone. So thank you for asking, and thank you for letting us know. We'll have to check that out. I have
all right, thank you. Islam.
Yes, Islam.
Angela Smith Bay, Fort Lauderdale.
Yes. Islam. Okay. Did you have a question, Empress? Okay. So I'm going to mute your phone just for a minute, Empress Angela. If you don't have a question, do you have a question that you wanted to ask?
Oh no, ma'am. No.
Okay. Okay, I wanted to be sure we got okay, because there's a little bit of feedback coming from that channel, and so
okay.
I'm gonna mute it just for a moment. So if there are no more questions or comments or anything, we will continue to call next week. Same time, same channel, and then also on this coming Thursday, we'll have another call as well. But remember, this coming Wednesday on the other channel, and let me give you the information for that, we are going to have a court action where we are calling all of those doing business as governors into our Moorishe American Consular Court, as well as Donald Trump doing business as president. And we're going to just make sure that they're being sovereign. That they're following the commands of the sovereign. That's Wednesday, May 27th at 3 p.m. Pacific time, which will be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you.
And the audio number is going to be 515-606-5622. And the access code is 679046. And for those who want to sign on to their computers and do it by video, we will be doing, it is a video court action. It's Light Bay Moorishe Nation. So when you go to freeconferencecall.com, the online ID the meeting that you'll sign into, online meeting ID, is Light Bay Moorishe Nation. That's LIGHTBEY Moorishe Nation on Free Conference Call. So that's the other channel, that the other video court line that we use as well. Okay. And then we'll see those who are going to be present this coming Thursday on our call this Thursday. We will see you then, and if not, we'll see you all next week on Sunday. Same time, same place. Islam. Peace and Grand Rising. Thank you so much, Empress, for being here. Islam.
What was that time?
Islam. It's 3 p.m. Pacific time, which is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard.
All right. Thank you so much, Islam.
You're welcome. Yes, Islam. Grand Rising, more.
All right.
Grand Rising.
Rising Islam.
I see you smiling up there. I like your bed.
Peace, boys.
Nice. Grand Rising.
Grand Rising.
Grand Rise.
Grand Rising. Islam.
Yes.
Grand Rising.
Yes.
Thank you, Light.
Grand Rising, you're welcome, Empress.
Islam, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, Moors, Islam.
Grand
Peace
Rising.
and love.
Grand Rising.
Paz y amor, Mauros.
Yes. Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, or peace and love. Thanks to you, Empress.
Yes. Peace and love, Empress. Grand Rising.
Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, Justice Theodore. Peace and love. Peace,
Grand
Justice
Rising.
Matt. Grand Rising.
Islam.
Grand Rising.
Yes, yes. Grand Rising, Justice Malik. Both Justice Maliks. Islam. Islam, Islam, Islam. Can I ask a question? Yes, Empress.
Thank you for the question. Everybody's leaving. So, in respect to get my corrected, I have kids, and of course, I didn't know then what I know now. Should I do this in any particular order?
Do it according to whatever you're led. However you're led to do it, go ahead and do it. There's no rush, Empress. Just do whatever you're led to do, and go from there. You have time to do it. It's best to go ahead and do it now. Hey, take just one thing at a time. That's all we can do.
Right. I was just concerned with, me being clear and free, and my kids being subjected to this entity. So I wanted to consider doing them first and then myself. I just didn't know if it kind of.
However you choose to do it, it's completely up to you, Empress. Yeah, it's completely up to you. You're welcome. You're sovereign. You can do whatever you want.
Thank you.
Yes,
Empress, like, I do have one question. Okay. What do someone need to do, like, like with everything that was shut down, and if you renting a domicile from someone, and well, I know we don't supposed to be paying anything anyway, but the rent wasn't paid, and I know they're gonna try to start doing evictions and stuff like that.
How do you know? Have they said it?
Well, he did. He said it that in June the 1st, I think, that they're gonna start doing evictions.
You need to call them into court. You need to terminate all corporate contract, and these are suggestions because you actually have to do the study on that yourself. But you do need to terminate all corporate contracts on the public record, and then call and tell them that anything in the affidavit, you're stepping up as the creditor, and then you call them into court because they're actually unlawfully occupying your land.
Yes.
I
did the termination. I already did the termination. I tried to download. I think I did it, but I don't know. I don't see it on there. I had downloaded on the moorishe website, but I don't see it on there yet.
It should be up there. They may be a little bit behind. How many days has it been since you did it?
That was, it wasn't that long. I think it was like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah, it take them a minute to get it up there, but they'll get it up there. And then you can upload it your own self at the Moorishe American Consulate Public Records page on Facebook. If you go to Moorishe American Consulate Public Records, you can actually upload it your own self there, and that's the public record also. So, the way that we have chosen to assist means that Moors don't have to pay a dime for anything. It also means that you can do everything yourself and not be encumbered by anything. You don't have to wait on anybody else. Be yourself at all times.
Yes.
and step up and do it. We have to do it. You know, we have to do it. It's a must.
Yeah.
Islam. And
Islam.
yes, Islam. Someone asked, where can they order seals? You can go to simplystamps.com, or you can go to Office Depot or Staples and order seals. As long as you have the artwork, you know, the government artwork, the stamps, the seals, you know, artwork, you can order them. And all Moors should have their own stamps and seals, by the way. So you all are authorized, quote unquote, because you didn't need authorization. You are the government. So, you know, order Moorish, National Republic, Federal Government, stamps and seals, so that you can stamp and seal your own paperwork, your own documents. Okay?
Islam, Empress.
Islam.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a consul assigned to doing identification for Central Territory? I mean Arkansas Territory.
Arkansas Territory, that's
Is there a consul
Central,
assigned to doing? Yes. Do they do the identifications?
Yes.
Identification.
Central does IDs. I think I'm the only one that doesn't do IDs, but it's just because of the workload here. But Central does. So Justice Tariq can do the IDs for you.
Islam.
You're welcome.
Empress, do we have our own plate for the conveyance?
Yes,
Where do we get
Justice Abbasi can get those for you, and whatever territory you're in, there should be a consulate in that territory that can get them for you as well. If they do IDs, they do plates. I think I'm the only one that does not do IDs and plates. So all of the other.
I don't think we have no one in Fort Lauderdale.
It wouldn't be Fort Lauderdale. It would actually be for the southeast region. So that would be Justice Abbasi.
Jeremiah.
Justice Abbasi. Justice Abbasi. Abbasi Talib Bey. He does that.
Okay.
Okay, and then with the plates, be sure that you know how to invoke personam jurisdiction. Okay? Before you put the plates on, know how to invoke personam jurisdiction. Okay? And for some of us, once we put the documents on the public record, we don't even talk to them. We don't talk to them at all, period. Because we don't have to. They're supposed to be checking the public record. Okay, so yes, Islam, there's his IDs. He's showing his IDs in the I don't know if y'all can see him, but he's
I'm on the phone. I can't see it.
Okay, beautiful. So yes, Justice Abbasi would be who you would speak to about that, and I think you can either email or text or call, and he can get you those tags.
Is he on the line now?
I think he's off by now. Let me see. Yeah, I think he's off. So you would need to look him up on the website and go ahead and connect with him. Islam, I think that's it for now. If there are no more questions, we can end the call, and we'll pick back up again and continue next week on Sunday or Thursday for those who can make the Thursday call.
Okay.
Peace and grand rising.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam.